Hi, my name is Neil. I'm one of the senior heating managers here at CES. The purpose of this video today is to help you troubleshoot some minor faults and some of the annoying error codes you might encounter in your air source unit and how you can rectify them easily. If you get an E911 fault code on your dual cylinder on the controller, the first thing we need to check would be your pressure to make sure it's between 1.5 and 2 bar. To do this, you need to come down over to the filling loop. As you can see here, the gauge is on 0.5 at the moment. So we need to put extra water in your system. So you would first turn any valve first, doesn't matter, anti-clockwise, open one fully, slowly turn the other one. You hear the water going into the system, it's rising. 1.5, 1.5. And then just shut one off and then shut the other one off. Once you've done that, we now need to get rid of the error code that's on the controller. By doing that, you would press OK. And then your zones are going to say, zone for your central heating will say off, domestic hot water will say off. Put it back on, that's all you've got to do is just press the power button once. Zone for your central heating will then come on. Use the arrow on the right to go over, select hot water. Once it's illuminated blue, just press the power button again once, and that's your hot water back on. Part of our E911 error code can mean that the strainer is blocked. So if you get an E911 fault code, it's always worth you coming out to check your strainer isn't blocked. To check the strainer, you need to isolate the strainer with the blue cap, isolate the flow, get yourself a spanner, undo the nut to the bottom. Remove the gauze, give it a good clean under the tap, and then just pop it back in and redo the nut. So once you've cleaned the filter and put it back in, you just need to turn on the valves, the return, turn the flow back on. Always remember, go up and just check the pressure on your system. If you get a power cut in your property or the trip switch goes down on your controller, once you regain power, your central heating zone is going to say off and your domestic hot water zone is going to say off. To get it back on, you just need to hit the power button once and again. There's your central heating on. You know it's on because it'll say set, okay? Then you need to get your hot water on. You just use your arrow over to the right. Again, power button once, on. You know it's on because it'll say set. If you're not getting any central heating, come and check the controller first. If there's no error code showing on your controller, next thing to check would be your receiver. If your receiver is flashing red, it means it's lost communication between the thermostat and the receiver, so we need to reconnect that. You do that by going down to the receiver and holding the RF test button on until it goes green. So the receiver's flashing now, it's searching for this thermostat. So now we need to help them connect to each other. To do that, you pull the flap down, there's an RF test button, you hold that button in until this says pair. Let your finger off the RF test button. You can see it's searching for the signal. Once the signal goes solid, you know they've linked back up. We've paired these together now. We're just going to make sure this is working. So we're going to put the selector switch right the way up as far as it'll go, all the way to auto, okay? And then we're going to make sure the temperature is above 21 degrees. Turn it up all the way, and then check on your receiver to make sure that it's gone orange, which it has, so you know that this is working. If you are in your property and you think the heating is not working, always come and check your thermostat first, because it could be the case that your thermostat has actually reached temperature. So your radiators will automatically shut themselves off then. So you might touch the radiator and think, oh, my heating's not working. it is working, it's doing what it should be doing. It's actually reached temperature and it's shut the central heating off. Our desired temperature here is 19 degrees, but our thermostat is at 20. So even though we're asking the heating to be on, it's not on because it's reached temperature. If you want to double check this, you need to turn the dial up. You will see your desired temperature rising. Once you go above 20 degrees, which is the actual room temperature at the moment, the flame will come on, which is just done there now. Then you can also double check to be sure by checking your receiver. That's gone orange, so you know the heating is working as it should. If you've got no power at your controller, I suggest the first thing you would check would be your rotary isolation switch in the cupboard. Obviously, it's going to have a 0 and a 1 on it. If it's up and it says 0, we need to turn that rotary switch clockwise until it says 1, and you should regain power at your controller. Once it regains power, it's going to go through its scanning mode. Give that a 30 seconds to a minute. Once you've turned the rotary isolator back on, when it regains power, it's going to say on the controller, it's going to say zone, as in central heating off, domestic hot water off. Get these back on, you need to hit the power button once, hit it again, central heating back on. Then we need to get your hot water back on. So you'd use the right arrow until domestic hot water is illuminated blue, and then just press the power button once more, hot water back on. If you've got no power and the isolator is on in the airing cupboard, I would suggest going to check the main trip board, which will be next to your consumer board. If the trip switch has come down on that, just push the trip back up. If you've got no hot water, you just need to come to the controller, select, once it's illuminated blue, power button, domestic hot water back on, and it says set. If you've got no central heating, always come check your controller. It's off at the moment. To put it on, you just press the power button. If you get a E101 code on your controller, first thing you need to check is to make sure none of the trip switches have come down on your fuse board. If they haven't, you need to go outside and just check your isolator. Just make sure that is on. If you've got a radiator and it is warm at the bottom and then cold at the top, that's telling you that you've got air in your radiator. So you need to get a radiator key. Open the vent, you'll hear air coming out. And then once it's full, you will actually see water. Once you've got water there, you just turn it back off clockwise, and then you should find that the radiator will get warm at the top. If you get an E919 code on your programmer, you just need to give the office a bell and we will need to send out the service engineer. The system is still going to work fine, it's just something I will need setting up by a service engineer.